What it means to be an American. Day 5. The American flag, more than a piece of cloth. Welcome to Spin Cycle America. I'm Coach. This isn't about politics, political parties. It's about principle. It's about history, responsibility, freedom, and having honest conversations about the country we all call home. So let's get started. So I'm changing a lot of things going forward and adding some new things to my YouTube. So I'm hoping you like what you hear and the new concept or the new platform a little bit. So kind of hang fast and just kind of listen, and especially toward the end. So again, welcome back to Spin Cycle America. Today we're talking about a symbol that has inspired generations, been carried into battle, flown over schools and homes, draped over caskets of service members, and raised in monuments of triumph and tragedy. I'm talking about the American flag. Some people, to some people, it's a piece of cloth. To me and millions of other Americans, it's more than that. It represents the birth of a nation founded on the idea that all people are created equal and are endowed with certain unalienable rights. This famous phrase was founded or the foundational principle of American democracy. Originally written by Thomas Jefferson in the United States Declaration of Independence in 1776. So let me break that down a little bit so you guys understand it. Universal equality. It asserts that every human being is born with the same inherent moral worth regardless of status or background. Unalienable rights. Well, this one here gets a little tricky because a lot of people out there are not understanding this part. Okay? They're thinking they get more rights than others. So I'm going to clarify this. So please listen to this. These are natural rights that belong to you simply by the virtue of being alive. They cannot be given away, taken away, or traded by any government. These are your rights as an American. Regardless of your background, your status, what nationality you are, if you're an American citizen, you get these rights. The core trio. The document explicitly identifies these fundamental rights as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And right now, you're seeing a lot of despair on a lot of the social medias and on news and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? So it represents sacrifices of those who have defended this country for years since our birth 250 years ago. It represents the hopes of immigrants who came here seeking freedom and opportunity the legal way. And it represents the shared ideals that bind us together as one nation. Even when we disagree, and nobody says you have to agree with everything every politician says. You have the right to disagree with everything. You have the right to disagree with what I'm saying right now. However, I do have resources to back up what I'm saying, but you can disagree with everything that I'm saying. But that's fine. That's your right. That's your right as an American citizen to disagree. But as someone who spent 22 years in the military, I can tell you this. When you wear the uniform, the flag isn't just an abstract symbol. It reminds you of people who served or who you served alongside, the families waiting at home, the responsibility to protect the Constitution of the United States. So every veteran and person serving in the military own one of those stars on that flag. Every veteran has memories connected to that flag. Some are joyful, some are painful. Many are deeply personal. Now let's address something that kind of sparks strong emotions. Under the Constitution, people have broad protection for freedom or free expression. The courts have recognized that many forms of symbolic expression, including acts that many Americans find offensive, are protected by the First Amendment. So I'll pause there for a second so you can think about what I just said. The First Amendment gives you a lot of freedom, gives you a lot of those freedoms that you endure right now. But that doesn't mean everyone has to agree with those actions. In fact, many Americans see burning the flag as profoundly disrespectful because of what it represents to them. One of the remarkable things about our country is that the same Constitution that protects the flag also protects many forms of speech about the flag. So I want to pause a second here and I want to back up. So those that are burning our flag, especially those that are U.S. citizens burning the flag, try doing that in another country. Go to Iran and try doing that. Go to any other country and try doing it. Okay, you will be quickly, without passing go, you will be thrown in jail. I promise you that. So it represents a lot in those countries, and it should represent the same in this country. That tension is part of the living in a free society that protects your right to do what you want to a point. But here's my question to you. Just because something is legal, does it does that automatically make it honorable? So does it make it honorable for you to sit there and burn the flag or to be disrespectful to somebody? I'm thinking probably not. Each of us has to answer that question for ourselves. For me, honoring the flag means honoring the people behind it. The soldiers standing watch overseas, the police officer working the night shift, the firefighter running toward danger, the paramedic answering an emergency call, the teacher helping shape the next generation, the factory worker, the rancher, the truck driver, small business owner, and even the volunteers who help keep this country moving forward. Without them, where would we be? But yet we continually destroy small businesses by ransacking them, thinking it's funny, or that just because they don't have anybody to protect them, we just take it upon ourselves to destroy their building or destroy their business. The flag belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to one political party. It doesn't belong to one ideology. It belongs to the American people. You don't have to agree with every decision made by the government, by our nation. But you do need to respect the nation because you live here. If you don't respect our nation, then why are you here? And that especially goes for those that are illegal or those that are from another country that are U.S. citizens but disrespecting our country. Go home and then think about how long it took you to get here in the first place. Throughout our history, Americans have worked to improve this country through debate, elections, respectful protest, military service, community involvement, and acts of courage. That's one of the strengths of our republic. So today I want to leave you with this thought. When you see the American flag, what do you see? Do you see a piece of cloth or the story of a nation still striving to live up to its highest ideals? Remember, we're still a small nation, or a young nation, I should say. Not a small nation, but a young nation. We're only 250 years old. There's other countries out there older than us. Everyone has a story to tell. Remember, it represents why you have the freedoms you now possess. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep it respectful, however. So I want to continue on with a couple of things that I'm adding to my YouTube. One is called the U.S. Constitution Corner. So the First Amendment. And the reason I'm adding a couple of these other things here is because many people out there don't understand the Constitution, don't understand bits and pieces of it. They just, there's things that not everybody understands. So I'm going to throw some things out there so maybe you'll start to understand and see where I'm coming from and people in my same position understand or know. So the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, including many forms of symbolic expression. Those protections are part of what distinguishes the United States. At the same time, Americans are free to express deep respect for the flag and what it represents. Rights and personal values are often intersect, and citizens can disagree strongly while recognizing the constitutional protections that apply. Think about that for a minute. Everybody out there that's listening to this needs to pull up the Constitution and read this. Read that First Amendment. It only takes you 30 seconds to read it. That's all it took me to read that. Let me tell you some historical facts. So during the Battle of Fort McHenry, many of you may know this, but this is where we're falling short because in our schools, many of our schools, they're doing something with history. They're throwing it out, or they're not teaching what needs to be taught in schools. But during the Battle of Fort McHenry in 1814, the sight of the American flag still waving over the fort inspired Francis Scott Key to write the poem that became the Star-Spangled Banner. So here's a couple of verses and a couple of questions that I want to leave you with too as well. So Bible verse, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Matthew, paragraph 5, verse 9. Question of the day, what does a flag represent you personally and why? Think about that for a minute. When you walk by that flag, what does that represent? I know a lot of veterans what it represents them. But you as a person, what does that represent? So here's a challenge, my coach's challenge. This week's challenge is simple. Find an American flag somewhere in your community, maybe at a school, Veterans Memorial, government building, or flying in front of a neighbor's house, and take just 1 minute and stand quietly and think about what that flag represents to you and the people who came before us. Remember of all the battles that were fought under that flag, where that flag was raised in victory because of that flag, where that flag was flown in battles from World War I, from the Civil War, all over. Think about it, people. Think about where that flag was flown. If you have grandchildren or children, tell them one story about why that flag matters to you. Patriotism isn't just something we feel, it's something we pass on. So here's my couple of new areas that I'm going to add to going forward as well. One's called Coach's Final Whistle. The American flag has flown through war, peace, triumph, tragedy, and everything in between. Governments change, leaders come and go, but the principles of our flag that our flag represents, liberty, equality, and self-government, are bigger than any one person. Whether you salute it, display it, or simply pause when you see it, remember that every generation has a responsibility to decide what that flag will mean to the next. Let's leave our children a country they're proud to call home. So here's my last thing that I'm adding to as well. It's called the Coaches Patriots. So eventually, starting next time, will also add. We'll pick one type of person, whether it's a veteran or nurses or somebody, as a Coaches Patriots. But if you are committed to being a more informed citizen and helping build a strong American, then you are one of Coach's Patriots. That doesn't mean we all think alike. That would be boring. It means we care enough to learn, serve, and stay engaged. So I'm Coach, and this has been Spin Cycle America. Remember this: a strong America doesn't start in Washington, it starts with stronger Americans. Until next time, stay informed, stay involved, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. Let's keep the conversations respectful. If you believe America is worth protecting, improving, and passing on to the next generation, please like this video, subscribe to Spin Cycle America, and share this episode with someone who believes respectful conversation still matters. And you all have an outstanding day.